Raise your hand if you have not been red carded this season. You. After last week's performance, to the showers. Extra Time is next. Welcome to Extra Time, everybody. I'm your host, Greg Lawless, alongside Shep Messing, as always. Act 1 of this week's show, Eastern Promises Broken. It seems like no one wants to take control of the Eastern Conference. First, Chicago had command of the bridge. Then, Toronto took the wheel. Now, DC United is captaining the ship, which actually is pretty amazing, Shep, when you think about it, because about 3 weeks ago or so, they were a 90th minute goal by Ben Olsen away from really basically going down to Davy Jones' locker.
That's the signature moment, because really that was a game at home for DC United where New England was depleted, but they held on. They had the early goal from Shalrie Joseph. They defended. And you would say if Ben Olsen doesn't get a very difficult goal in stoppage time, that might have been the end of the season for them.
Well, it wasn't, though. He does get that goal, and a week later they got a comeback win over New York at Giants Stadium with that last-minute goal from Chris Pontius. And then this past weekend, they come back with another come-from-behind victory against Dallas.
They're playing very well. Now, every team, Greg, can make the argument, look, we have injuries, we have star players out, but you look at a DC United lineup that's healthy, with a Jaime Moreno, with a Christian Gomez, Emilio. When Fred is healthy, Pontius has been great, Wallace has been great. They have a lot of talent. I give Tommy Sohn credit. You know, we were speculating about what's going on at DC United. That's the measure of a character of a coach when he keeps his team together.
And Jaime Moreno with a fantastic game, actually, against Dallas. He just seemed to be everywhere. He looked like he was 25 again. It's pretty impressive. Now, DC, the latest team to now take the top spot in the East. Before them, as we said, it was Toronto, but they stumbled at home to Columbus. The Fire were before Toronto. They're still undefeated, but they have 5 draws on the season. Blanco has started to look a little bit like the Superman we always expect him to be. He looks like he's 25, like Moreno.
Well, we both love Blanco, and we both questioned how Blanco would take it being on the bench for a while.
Right.
He's back in the starting lineup. He seems invigorated. And Dennis Hamlet, he's got a good team put together. They have also showed their character. Now, you talk about the draws. We talk about maybe not the best performance at home.
Right.
That's what they need to do better at, their home games.
Well, the last home game was against Seattle, and they were up a man, and they were up a goal, and they gave up the equalizer. Is there any question about the back line for them at all, for you, or even the goalkeeping, to maybe shore things up and keep that win? We saw against Kansas City, 3 weeks ago, when they gave up a 2-goal lead.
I really don't attribute it to the goalkeeper or the back line. I think there's a mentality with the Chicago Fire team that when they're on the road, they're just more motivated. They're more organized. They're more disciplined.
Right.
They look for their chances to get forward. I think when they play at home, Greg, sometimes they risk too much. So they have to try and solve that at home.
Well, when you're at home, you're expected to get forward, but it also maybe opens up some spaces. Well, west of the mighty Mississippi, it's a very different story. Chivas USA continues rampaging through the West. They got a 1-0 win against San Jose, actually, this week, wasn't it? So, and then they got a performance from Justin Braun, another unheralded striker that Preki just threw in there. They're doing it all without some of their marquee players still. No Ante Razov. Eskandarian didn't play. Michael Galindo. So they're getting performances from some of the more lesser-known guys out there.
Look, I love Preki, and I really attribute the success of the team to Preki, because he's got them playing for each other. He's got them running off the ball. He's got them moving. They're 6-1-1, and you really can't name 3 marquee players that are on the field for them. Now, Zach Thornton's been doing a wonderful job in goal. Carrie Talley, I think, is having his best year ever.
Fantastic performance, yeah.
Jesse Marsh. Right. He's always, for me, an all-star. Let's see how they do, though. They've had a very weak schedule in this run.
Well, that's a good point. When you look at their schedule, they've played Dallas, they've just played San Jose, but they're sort of the Rodney Dangerfield of MLS, because they're not getting any respect. Let's remember, they did beat Seattle, right?
Yeah.
Of course, they went to Toronto, and that was probably their biggest test at Toronto, and they failed and they lost. Why is it, do you think, that some people just aren't buying Chivas as a powerhouse?
Well, I don't think they dominate anybody. And again, I'm not looking to criticize them. I think Preki has done a yeoman's job of putting together a team, a real team.
Right.
They lose the ball, 10 get behind the ball. They win the ball, they move forward. They don't just go flying forward. So they're playing well as a team, but I think they don't get the credit because they don't dominate anybody.
Well, across the hall, Los Angeles Galaxy are not dominating anybody either, but they're also sort of playing like a team, and they got their first win of the season over the weekend. Granted, it was only against New York, and it was just 1-0 on a marginal penalty call, but I was hearing a little bit of rumor before this game that there might have been some dissension in the ranks, some questions of Bruce Arena's decisions. Does this win, them getting on the board finally, does it remove some of the question marks around LA?
Well, first of all, I never heard those rumors. I don't believe them. Bruce Arena and Dave Sarakin are totally in charge of that team, and I think they've done a very good job organizing them defensively. Bruce Arena said it after the game against Red Bull. He thought the best player on the field, and I agree, was Edson Buttle. Edson Buttle didn't show up on the score sheet, but he held the ball, he ran, he did everything a target striker's supposed to do. I still think they have some challenges in terms of offensive productivity, but that's a big win for them.
Well, a big test for them this week, actually. On Wednesday, they go to Real Salt Lake against an RSL team that hasn't lost at home. However, RSL will be without Nick Rimando for an injury. Jamison Olave is out after the red card, and Javier Morales will be missing this one. So maybe LA could get in there and get away with one. We'll see. That's Wednesday night. On Wednesday on ET, we'll be talking to Dominic Kinnear, head coach of the suddenly exploding Houston Dynamo.